How's it going, everyone? Red and Black Horizons here. Now, my last video I was able to shoot outside because it was 65 degrees and sunny. Today, a week later, it's snowing. Cause fuck you, that's why. Welcome to Chicago. I'm not gonna let that stop me though. So today, inside, I'll be going over my gear for cooking when I'm out on my bike tour. So I'm going to go over some of the simpler stuff first. Here we have just a little hard container fitted for me to fit some eggs in. Now, eggs are a great source of protein. They have a lot of various amino acids that are going to be great for recuperating after a long day of rides. So what I'm probably going to do is when I get into town, buy a dozen eggs, keep 6 of them fresh, put them in here. Eggs will actually keep for a couple of days without refrigeration. And the other 6 I'm going to boil right away and keep the hard-boiled eggs, and those will last for a decent amount of time. And then I don't have to have them in such a protective container. That way I have a lot of protein each morning. Also, I have this. Now this is part of my bear bag setup. So, even if there's not bears in the area, you want to make sure that you keep your food, toothpaste, other scented items away from your camp. You don't want critters crawling around in the middle of the night trying to chew their way into your tent. So, what I have here is I just got this wide mouth plastic container with paracord inside. And to the lid, I just punched a hole through it and attached a carabiner. When I need to hoist my bear bag, I'll throw some rocks into this, cap it up, attach the paracord, throw it over a tree limb. The reason I use this is because instead of, a lot of people use little nylon bags. A, I'm not going to pay money for something to hold rocks. And B, I figured that the bag could get caught on the branches, whereas this will not. Now, for my bear bag itself, I'm going to be using my dry bag that I keep a lot of my camping equipment in. You saw that in my last video. Reason I'm using that is, once again, I'm doubling down, not buying 2 of the same kind of items. The only time I'm going to hoist my bear bag is when I'm in camp already set up, so it's going to be empty as well. And it's one of my tougher material. It's tougher than the panniers. It's cheaper than the panniers, so it'll be able to resist, in case it does fall, in case an animal does get to it, it will be able to resist being chewed through, and it's also waterproof. So next I'm going to be going over my stove and my cookware. Alright, so right here we have my camp stove set up. The camp stove that I'm using is an MSR Dragonfly International, and it comes with this fuel bottle. The fuel bottle is pretty indestructible. It's not going to leak when it's in a pack, which is important when you're dealing with flammable liquids. And now I chose to go with a 30 ounce. Which is a little larger than I wanted to go. However, there's a reason for this. When you buy white gas, which is the preferred fuel for the Dragonfly, it usually comes in very large containers. So if I had a smaller fuel bottle, I'd be carrying less, but I'd be wasting more. I'd be buying several liters at a time and only using a fraction of it. So unfortunately, there'll still be probably some waste with this, but there'll be much less, and also I won't have to refuel as often. Now, the MSR Dragonfly is a very cool stove. You can see, folds out like this and snaps into place. So many of you, I'm sure, are at least have heard of the Whisper Light International. So this is more or less the same thing. It has the advantages that the Whisper Light has. That is that it can accept a variety of fuel. It can burn white gas, kerosene, and even gasoline. So in case you find yourself in some sort of survival situation, or if you're touring in a third world country, you're always going to have fuel. And it's incredibly tough. It's very simple, so it's a great stove. Now, the Dragonfly, what's different with it is, first, it has a little bit of a wider base. So you can actually put like a full-size skillet on it if you want it. I don't have one of those, but the option is there if need be. Now, the major thing, though, is this. This right there is flame adjustment. Now, the Whisper Light, it's all or nothing. It's a full flame or it's off. For the Dragonfly, you can bring this down to a simmer. So if you need a simmer of stew, or if you're making rice that takes a while to cook, you know, if there's some rice out there that takes up to 45 minutes of simmering, that's what this is for. Allows you to conserve a little bit of fuel, and it gives you a wider range of things you can cook. With the Whisper Light, it's really only good for boiling water, which is great if all you're going to be making is pasta, oatmeal, and rice day after day after day. However, I like to cook. I like to make large omelets in the morning. I like to make stir fries maybe, or something along those lines at night. So this gives me the option to do that. Now, it also comes with a heat shield that goes underneath. That way, you're not gonna, it's not gonna set anything on fire, and it's gonna reflect heat upwards. Speaking of which, we also have a heat shield. This will wrap around it, and that will keep the wind, the heat in and the wind out. Now, I really wanted to show you how the flame control worked, but unfortunately we're inside. But you know what, I'm going to take a gamble on this. You're not supposed to set this up and light it indoors, but I figure if I have it, you know, out of the way, I'm just going to put it right here next to this big bag of dryer lint. And if I set this up, let's hope that I don't have a problem. Come on, people. I may be crazy, but I'm not that stupid. Don't be stupid. Don't light your stove indoors. It's going to catch something on fire, A, and B, it's going to cause carbon monoxide poisoning. This goes the same for your tent. A lot of people make the bad mistake of trying to light a stove underneath a vestibule and end up burning the whole thing up. Don't be an idiot. If worse comes to worse, eat some cold food. If you didn't bring food that could be ate cold, you fucked up. Go back to the drawing board. Try again. So, let's go over the cookware now. Here we have my cookware. First thing you'll notice is I have this Mylar pot koozie outside. I went over this in one of my previous videos, gear upgrade video, but for those of you who haven't seen it, the whole reason for a pot koozie is that when you do need to simmer something for a small amount of time, let's say 20-25 minutes, you bring your water up to a boil, and then you stick it in here, clasp it shut, and that way it maintains a good temperature and continues to cook without wasting fuel. Also, what you can do is that because it protects your hands from the inside heat, I don't need a separate bowl now. What I can do is I can place this in my lap and not burn myself. So, the pot itself is MSR Stowaway Alpine 1.5 liter, I believe is the full title. So it has plenty of space for a big meal. You need to make big meals because you're going to be burning a lot of calories when you're on the bike all day. Cool thing about this, snap shut, keeps everything secure. I designed my cookware set so that majority of what I would need could fit inside here, saving space. So first thing I have is a spoon, a stirring spoon. This is not what I'm going to be eating with, of course. It's a little bit larger than I wanted it to be. However, the most important thing is it has flat sides. What that is going to allow me to do is that when I'm cleaning it at the end of the day, I'm going to be able to get everything off the bottom and get everything that's in the corner. So that's pretty important right there. Next, I have just a mug, lightweight, plastic, has a handle so I don't burn myself with coffee, and best of all, has some pretty flowers on the side. I know you're jealous. What that is going to go with that is this, I believe this is called Coffee Brew Buddy by Primula? I don't know. It's pretty standard. Cool thing about this is that it has a reusable filter. So put your grounds in there, pour your boiling water in, fill it up to the top, let it sit for a while, and easy way to brew your coffee in the morning. I originally had a different setup. It was supposed to be much better tasting, and I was willing to make a few sacrifices for better tasting coffee, considering I'm kind of a coffee addict. However, the reason I didn't bring it is because it needed paper filters, so I would either need to have special filters shipped out to me because it uses cone filters, or take them all at once, and it didn't fit into this container. So that's why, unfortunately, despite it being a better product, I had to leave it at home. For utensils, I have this little Swiss Army setup. I'm not a fan of Swiss Army knives. I think that they have a bunch of tools, all of which are pretty much junk, instead of having just a regular tool set and a real knife. However, this is primarily for eating. So all it has is really your utensils. The two sides snap apart, so I have a fork, spoon, also has a knife, and it has a can opener as well. And lastly, I have this, just a flexible cutting board. Reason it's flexible is it needs to fit in there. Once I cut up my veggies, I can fold it, get everything in there. So, of course I got this at a thrift shop because I'm not going to go out and spend $10 for a cutting board that I'm going to cut down to this. However, one thing that I found very quickly is that plastic cutting boards are very hard to find at thrift stores. This is because by the time they're donated, they're so beat up that they are unsellable. So what I did is I found a plastic placemat, did some tests on it in the store. If you wonder what those tests were, I used their knives to slice and stab at it multiple times. I may have gone through a few of their placemats. However, I found this one that holds up pretty nicely. Fortunately, it has some Christmas-themed glitter on the other side, but that I will scrub out later. So, there we have it. This is my cooking setup for my upcoming bike tour. Stay tuned, more gear videos coming.